Welcome to Crossbody of Work. My name is Evan.
I am Javier.
This week, we are looking at the DNA of TNA, the blueprint, Matt Morgan.
Did I stutter?
We are going to talk about that as well. On this show, we take a look at a wrestler through 5 of their most important matches to get a crossbody examination of their career. You get it. You understand the name of the show. Matt Morgan, a legit 7-footer.
From Fairfield, Connecticut.
From Connecticut.
A place that I have gone to, or technically have gone to, twice. Including this past weekend. I drove by it this weekend.
Okay.
Because I was going to... So I went to New York City, and I have to drive by there in order to get to New York City. And then, 4 years ago now at this point, UMass men's basketball played a game against Fairfield in Fairfield. They have a really big arena down there. And I went to go cover that game. Got a flat tire on the way there, but we prevailed.
Brutal. I hate getting flat tires. I got one before my driving test. That sucked.
My buddy who drove in his car was stressed out.
I got one between the front entrance of the driving test place and the back lot where you start the drive test, and had to wait 2 hours to start my draft test until I could get my tire replaced.
How?
I ran over either a nail or a piece of glass in the while driving.
Okay, but why were you driving?
So I was with my mom, and I was about to go do my drive test.
Yeah, but shouldn't your mom be driving? You don't got a license.
No, the drive test to get your full license. That's how it works in Canada.
You still don't got it.
Canadians tell me it's perfectly legal. Also, Americans.
There's a permit. You can get a permit.
Yeah, no, I had my learner's
permit. It's legal to do, but I just feel like it's a bad idea.
No, it's a great idea. You have to practice, and you have to be with someone who has enough time in the car. Also, American listeners, happy Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh, thank you, man. I'm thankful for you. Evan.
You're 6 weeks late, but it's fine.
All right. Well, we fucking originated it. So, first off, your dates are wrong.
Also, happy Black Friday to all who celebrate, because that is truly the most American of the holidays.
I do it online now, brother.
Everything's online now, brother.
Well, it also started 2 weeks ago.
All of HH. All right, so let's talk about Matt Morgan. Let's talk about his background. Let's talk about how you should be hitting subscribe on YouTube if you're not watching there. We already hit over 100 subscribers. Thanks for joining us that way. Javier's broken because I quoted Hulk Hogan.
All love, HH.
So Matt Morgan was a successful high school basketball player in Fairfield at Fairfield High School in Connecticut, and played Division I college basketball for Monmouth University. He's a center.
Oh, isn't that where Kenneth Fareed went to?
I believe so. Shout out to the Manimal. Following a coaching change, he transferred to, I'm going to butcher the name of this university, Chaminade University in Hawaii.
Couldn't Chaminade? I don't know.
I don't think it's Chaminade. like a bad drink. I think it's Chaminade.
I could tell you, he definitely went there because it was in Hawaii, right?
I'd go to school in Hawaii if I could. He finished his college basketball career and graduated with a degree in public speaking, which would definitely help him in terms of promo ability.
Well, I mean,
and future career goals, which we'll talk about.
Well, if you think about the King speech and his gimmick in WWE, it makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Matt Morgan,
it all adds up.
Colin Firth before Colin Firth.
He was calling first. Matt Morgan was first introduced to the WWF as part of Tough Enough 2. He was in that group of people, but he had to leave the show early due to an injury. So he wasn't on the season.
He 100% would have won, though.
7 feet tall, pretty chiseled, and has a good understanding of athletic. Pretty athletic. Yeah, 100% would have won.
Who won Tough Enough 2?
That's a great question. I'll look that up. But then
it wasn't Morrison.
He signed a developmental deal. And joined OVW that year. So Tough Enough 2, the winner was, it was Linda Miles and Jackie Gata.
Who the hell is Linda Miles?
Linda Miles was Shaniqua.
Yeah. Man. That is just now hit me how inappropriate that name probably was to give someone this gimmick.
It was a bad time. It was a very bad time.
Matt Morgan.
He made his OVW debut October 2nd, 2002 as the Blueprint Matt Morgan, teaming with Mark Jindrak. I saw on Wikipedia, I don't know how true this is, but prior to his WWE main roster debut, originally he was earmarked to become Kane's storyline brother, so I guess technically Undertaker's storyline like half brother, Abel, because they were going to do a Kane and Abel thing. The plan was scrapped, even though, that was the plan. It was scrapped, and then the role was modified and given to Luke Gallows, Doc Gallows, to be fake Kane. So that's what they ended up doing instead. It's a bad time.
What's great is
Not that.
You want to know what my favorite representation of Cain and Abel is? It's the movie Year One.
Yes, it's fair.
Great. Paul Rudd just getting his shit blasted, and then he just he gets back up, and then just it's funny shit.
It's good shit. Morgan did make his debut in WWE on the October 30th, 2003 episode of SmackDown and was chosen alongside the returning Nathan Jones by GM Paul Heyman to join Team Lesnar. And that is our first match. Team Lesnar versus Team Angle from Survivor Series 2003. Team Lesnar is a beefy bunch of boys. Brock Lesnar, Matt Morgan, Nathan Jones, the biggest of shows, and A-Train.
Yeah, I mean, we covered this match for somebody.
We have covered this match.
Might have been Cena.
It might have been in the Cena 3-parter because it's a big moment for Cena. Because on Team Angle, it's Kurt Angle, of course, John Cena, Dickhead, a.k.a. Chris Benoit, Bradshaw, who sticks out like a sore thumb on this team.
It might have actually, it was either Bradshaw or I think it might have been A-Train.
And Hardcore Holly is also on this team.
Oh, no, it was the Hardcore Holly episode.
Though not for long. This match is not bad and is a very interesting debut for Matt Morgan.
Yeah, I like this for obvious reasons, but I also just like the contrast of a lot of it. I mean, you've got some of the best wrestlers in the company, like technical wrestlers in the company on one side versus also one of the best technical wrestlers in the company, the Big Show, A-Train, and Think One and Think Two.
You meant Brock Lesnar as one of the best technical wrestlers, and Big Show is. I thought you called Big Show.
There's
one of the
a comma after that. Actually, no, it's not even a comma. It's a semicolon. And then it's Big Show, then it's A-Train, and then it's Thing One and Thing Two.
I love Survivor Series elimination matches as a vehicle to debut people. I think it makes a lot of sense because there's ways to protect them in terms of their elimination. Or you could have them win, Rocky Maivia style, Undertaker, like all of these routes.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I feel like there's kind of a wasted opportunity with that this year with the two. Like they should just have one. There's opportunity to have one. And I think they should do the 2 War Game matches, start with one, end with one, but somewhere in the middle, like you could still put a Survivor Series elimination tag match in there and fucking debut, I don't know, Braun Breaker or some shit like that. You know what I mean? They do it with the tag teams. Let the Creed brothers get a good run going.
That's a great idea. I like that idea a lot. John Cena wraps himself to the ring, makes some bad rhymes, calls the rest of
you disrespectful.
He wants to trade all of his partners for a one-night stand with Sable. Just throwing the homies under the bus.
I mean, listen. Look at the group. Who in that group do you want to hang out with?
Kurt. Easily.
Come on. Do you want to hang out with him or do you want to pop perks?
I want to hang out with Kurt. Kurt seems
right, but like,
especially
2003
like
Kurt,
old...
my man is just doing this.
Not Dickhead, not Hardcore Holly. Bradshaw, if Farouk comes,
No.
But if it's just
JBL, brother.
Hanging out with just Bradshaw seems awful, but hanging out with Bradshaw and Ron Simmons sounds fun.
John Cena is on the same Survivor Series team as his next 2 WrestleMania opponents.
That is true. That's very interesting. Big Show is U.S. champion here, and I still find it funny because the belt is too small for him. Nathan Jones is jacked to the gills and is terrifying. Matt Morgan looks ripped and ready. He looks good for his debut. Looks real good.
Spoiler alert, Matt Morgan looks the exact same as pretty much his whole career.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he ages at all. He looks perpetually like 29 to 33.
His hair gets a little thin in this read. If you're on YouTube watching, the area my hand is covering right now, you can start seeing a little bit of skull as time goes on.
That's fine.
Well, it happens to some people more than others. And it's getting a little loose back there. But aside from that, I mean, body wise, facially, his facial hair doesn't change at all.
No,
like he pretty much looks the exact same. The whole
when
way
you find
through.
a good look, you stick with it. Why would you change it? And it's a good look. He's a good looking guy.
Hey, Evan. Hey, you look great.
Thanks, man. You're in a good mood. Thanksgiving. You're definitely in a good Thanksgiving mood. You're about to get
food tomorrow, brother.
Some good food. Yeah.
I'm getting food tomorrow, brother.
Brock Lesnar makes his entrance. Hardcore Holly attacks Lesnar before the match even starts. Holly's attacking Brock. Brian Hebner's on him, and Holly gets a DQ before the match even begins. So technically, this match starts 4-on-5. Hardcore Holly, in the official record book, goes down as being DQ'd at 0 minutes and 0 seconds.
He already had the match with Lesnar at the Rumble, right? Or is that 2004 that he has?
No, he's had I believe he's had the Lesnar match already.
So, because that's still a blood feud, and it's been almost a year. No, because Lesnar gets eliminated in 2004 by Goldberg.
No, yeah, he has the match with Hardcore Holly in 2004.
Oh no,
yeah, it's 04.
Freaking mine then.
It's 04 because 04 is Dickhead winning the Rumble, and he last eliminates Big Show.
But Brock
it's the
is
Rumble
also in that match.
Brock is not in that match.
Oh, no, he eliminates Goldberg. That's what happens.
But Matt Morgan is in that match. Isn't that exciting? And he gets one elimination. Take one guess who he eliminates.
Nunzio.
That's a great guess, but it's the Hurricane. Wrong cruiserweight. Let's talk about Matt Morgan in this match. What did you think of his performance?
Just didn't do much.
He didn't have a lot of time.
He comes in relatively early on after a few eliminations, and he comes. So Cena comes in. He's going back and forth with Big Show, back and forth with Brock, and then Matt Morgan tags in after Brock gets the advantage.
Yeah.
He just kind of does big man moves like side slam.
Which, again, if you're just starting, like his OVW debut was a year earlier.
Yeah, it takes a while, man. It's not all people like Kurt Angle took to it like a fish to water, but Kurt Angle was an Olympic gold wrestler. Matt Morgan played basketball.
So he gets a right hand to Cena. He misses a leg drop, but does get a sidewalk slam in. Then tags in Nathan Jones. Quick work. He's in. He's out. He's doing good things. He hangs. Everything's great. He doesn't look out of place. That's probably the best thing. It's like a rookie quarterback.
He's in and out is why you know. He's basically like, I don't know, who's a guy you would literally bring in for a gimmick play and then he's out.
It's the way, like, obviously he was better than this, but like when Percy Harvin was like a rookie and they just were like, okay, you're just running sweeps.
Well,
like you're just
Percy
running.
Harvin was also like the 12th pick in the draft.
That's true.
It's like first year Jalen Hurts when they would bring him in for like goal line pushes and stuff like that.
Kadarius Toney. Like when he first got to the Chiefs and they were like, we don't know what to do with you. So here's 3 plays a game. Go to town.
Yeah, pretty much.
Morgan comes back in afterwards. He is up against Dickhead, tosses him to the outside and keeps talking with the referee. Comes in with a boot choke to Dickhead, which is always a good move.
Yeah, we do love a boot choke. We also love the abdominal stretch that the Big Show put on. That he just kept reaching to Nathan Jones for.
Dickhead hits a basement dropkick and gets a hot tag to Angle, so Angle goes up against Matt Morgan too, which is a preview for something to come later. He hits a trio of German suplexes on Matt Morgan, then gets a basement dropkick to Nathan Jones, a German to Brock. Matt accidentally runs into Nathan Jones. Angle slam to Matt Morgan, and Angle eliminates him from his first main roster match.
Solid performance is what I will say. Solid.
It was really good.
He was never going to carry the match.
No,
and he wasn't. He was in there to do some explosive moves, show off. Hey, I'm a big man who could do things, and get out of there. That's what he did. He nailed it.
You know what is the most surprising part of this match to me?
Go ahead.
Angle's elimination. I didn't remember it being so quick. So
Yes.
Big Show accidentally clotheslines Nathan Jones. Angle sends Big Show to the outside, locks in an ankle lock on Nathan Jones. He taps. So it's technically 3-2 for Team Angle. Lesnar just walks in, quick F5, pins Angle clean. That's it. Kurt's gone.
Yeah. I mean, they're really setting up the Brock and Angle stuff.
Yeah, they
So,
really were. But also, I just
which
didn't think it would be so fast.
is weird because I don't think they have another match after this, unless they had. Did they already do the Iron Man match? Yes, right.
Yes,
Because I think that was October.
but isn't this leading up to WrestleMania 20? Yeah.
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
don't wrestle.
Right, because they wrestled at 19.
Yeah, they main events at
Yeah.
19, and so
Yeah.
and unless there was a December pay-per-view where they could have had a blow-off match there, this is kind of it for them.
Like Armageddon?
Yeah, something like that. December to Dismember, a little something light. Unless they did that, there's just no shot that they
Armageddon was all Raw, so no
this
dice.
is the blow off. This is it. As far as
Yeah.
one of your favorite feuds ever, Brock Lesnar
true.
and Kurt Angle.
It's a good
This
feud.
is it. It ends
It's a really
with
good feud.
Brock Lesnar hitting an F5 and eliminating Kurt off of no action together, really.
And then Brock taps, which is a baffling sight in 2023. To think of Brock Lesnar tapping to Chris Benoit. He taps out to Dickhead during a crossface. Blows my mind.
He has yet to tap ever since. He's never tapped again. He's been knocked out, like the Undertaker when he made him pass out at SummerSlam and stuff like that. But
very funny spot.
Never tapped out again.
Cena and Dickhead would win because Cena uses a chain shot to Big Show, hits an FU, gets the dub. They're going to end up having a match later, which is a great time. Great success for all involved.
Yes. We've covered that. Good time.
So somewhere down the line, eventually they're supposed to tag with Nathan Jones. Like Matt Morgan was going to be a tag team with Nathan Jones. Then Nathan Jones quit the WWE. So that idea didn't pan out. So
he just straight up quit? I thought they let him go.
That's what it says on Wikipedia. It says he quit. But it could be like a no, I dumped her situation.
Sure.
He teamed with like Lesnar and Big Show a couple of times, competed in the Royal Rumble match, like I said, and was eliminated by Dickhead. Got sent out to OVW, returned to WWE on April 25th or 21st, 2005, with the stuttering gimmick. And
stutter.
He was defensive about his speech disorder. He allied himself with Carlito as his backup, which I guess is like post having Jesus as his backup. He now had Matt Morgan. I don't remember this at all.
I don't remember that either. I just remember going straight from Jesus to yeah, and then the Masters thing blew up in 2000. No, they were still together leading into Elimination Chamber in 2006.
Well, this is what happened. This is when Carlito was on SmackDown still. He helped Carlito beat Big Show at Judgment Day, and then Carlito got drafted to Raw. So Morgan was subsequently released by WWE on July 5th, 2005. His last match was when Juventud and the Mexicals beat him up. Remember that from the Juventud episode like a month ago?
God. Wait, so he only had the stuttering thing for like 3 months?
Yeah, just over 3 months.
That is like ingrained into my memory. Like this is even just something that like I've seen on like a What Culture video or like a compilation video in since then. Like this is something that I just remembered from when I was watching back in 2005.
I didn't realize, I didn't have the context when we did that in the Hoovy episode, that was Matt Morgan's last WWE appearance. Because then he would go to New Japan. He would leave New Japan after working there briefly to go to All Japan, and then debuted for TNA on the August 7th, 2007 episode of TNA Today, appearing briefly in the background of a segment between Jeremy Borash and Eric Young. And then on the August 9th episode of Impact, he appeared alongside former TNA management director Jim Cornette, and was identified as Cornette's backup. He at one point asked to join Main Event Mafia, and they said, LOL, no.
Yeah.
So then it set up a feud with Kurt, and that's where our next match is. It's Bound for Glory 2009. It's Matt Morgan versus Kurt Angle in a match that was subtitled Wrestling's Best versus Wrestling's Future.
Doubt.
Yeah. Detective Cole Phelps says doubt.
X.
Yeah, press X for
X
doubt
on that one.
What do you think of the match? Have you seen it before? That's another good question.
No, I was not watching fucking TNA pay-per-views in 2009.
That's fair, but I didn't know how much your TNA like review and revision has gone deep.
Yeah, I mean, it's a match I knew of, but like also look at Bound for Glory 2009. Like look up the card. I'm being so serious. It
I
is
will look that up.
not good. Like I don't know. It's my thing with Matt Morgan is like, and I told you this earlier. He was kind of just like TNA Baron Corbin. Like he was positioned a lot as a babyface in that time period, which is good. He got good reactions from people. But I say Baron Corbin in that like he was kind of hovering in that space between main event and like just under the main event, but just above like secondary status. Like
Yeah.
in WWE it would be like wherever you are in between IC title and world title. Like Baron Corbin was in there for like a few years, like a few years back. But he did as a heel. Think of that, the equivalent of that as a babyface. That's where Matt Morgan was.
I'm looking at this card. It doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah, but like if you see Samoa Joe, know that he's got the face paint, and
Okay, well, like,
he's like Tribal Joe. Like
so it's like you got Bobby Lashley versus Samoa Joe. You got Sting versus AJ Styles.
AJ, I'm pretty sure is in his weird phase where he's not really AJ.
Like
Main
the
event
X
Mafia
Division
Sting, which isn't
Ultimate
great.
X match sounds pretty good. Amazing Red, Alex Shelley,
Yeah.
Chris Sabin, Christopher Daniels, Homicide, Suicide.
Well, that's probably a great match because it's the X
match.
Division. They always freaking nail it. But
They always
hey,
carry.
listen, it's just you got to think. Bound for Glory is their biggest show. Like this is their WrestleMania, and that's
true.
what's happening.
That's true. This
like,
match is
Matt
not
Morgan's
bad.
the main event, bro.
This match is no, he's not the main event. He's the semi-main. He's second.
Oh,
Sting versus AJ Styles is the main.
okay.
I think the match is not bad. Like it takes a while to get going, but I think the actual action is pretty good.
No, this is solid. But my thing is, this doesn't really seem like a pay-per-view match as much as it kind of feels like a
Impact main event.
Yeah,
like Impact main event for sure.
Yeah, and like don't get me wrong, they kick out of finishers, which is cool. But like, if that's the reason why we're making this a pay-per-view championship match, like that's the only separator.
Well, not a title match, so. This is not a title
right,
match.
yes, Sting's the fucking champion.
Yeah.
But still, it's just like they billing this as this kind of important deal, and man, it's just weird. I don't know. I don't get me wrong. Again, this is a good match. Like, I just think that to basically put it right beneath the main event at your biggest pay-per-view of the year is a little crazy to me.
It's a weird time for TNA. Let's talk about some Matt Morgan moves we like. I want to start with the one where he is backed into a guy in the corner, takes off his elbow pads, and just rapid fires elbows. It's unique. I like it. It's something different.
It's a thing that he does in every match, I think, that follows this.
Yes, and honestly, he's the only person I know who does it, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think it's different.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
I like unique offense. It's not a terrible idea. And he's big enough to make it work. He's also like big in like a weird way. He's big in like a Kurgan way. You remember how Kurgan was like tall and like
I do remember
kind
Kurgan.
of compact but slender, kind of like he wasn't too big. Like Brock Lesnar can't do that. His back is too fucking big. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like, Matt Morgan and Kurgan can. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why Kurgan's the first one.
No, honestly, I fully see the reference. I get it. There's a couple other spots like things that he likes.
He catches Kurt from the apron dive, runs him into the post. Yeah, it's a flying crossbody.
He catches Angle off the top rope later and does a fallaway slam that he didn't get like one side of Angle fully up, so it did look a little weird. Angle pretty much lands on his shoulders.
Yeah. He corrects it in later matches.
Yes, he gets a lot better at it, but also like maybe Angle was just like heavier than expected. I could see that being the case.
Which is weird because this is also probably the lightest Kurt Angle ever was.
Yeah, there's a couple good things. Also, random shot of Sean Stockman from Boys to Men in the crowd.
Yeah, I was like, what are we, what?
I fucking
it's
love
like
Motown
when they
Philly,
brought in Pac-Man Jones, and I was like, why the fuck is Pac-Man Jones famous enough to be here?
They started listing some other like famous people that were here, and I was like, "Oh no! These people aren't that famous. You can't do that. This is not. This is not good."
I don't even remember who else was there.
That's the thing is I don't remember. I
Alrighty
saw Sean
then.
Stockman and I was like, I like Boys to Men a lot. So like, that's cool. Like before
That's
they even said,
weird.
I'm like, I know who that is. Like, that was cool.
It's like okay, but if like WWE will do that, and then it's like fucking Travis Kelsey is just there
Yeah.
chilling, George Kittle, like
Yeah.
freaking A-list, not A-list
Rob Gronk
celebrities,
has as
but
many
like
tight ends as we could fit.
yeah, Rob. It's like yeah, but
Hey,
like you
that's
know what I mean.
Pat
Like they'll do it,
Fryermuth.
and then sometimes like fucking, I'm pretty sure Morgan Waller was probably at a
Yeah.
Nashville show that they did at some
We had
point.
Bob Barker to host once upon a time. R.I.P.
Yeah,
to the GOAT.
and like these people were just showing up here, and then we've got fucking Sean Stein.
And
Anyways, yeah, no disrespect to my guy, but no, I love Boys to Men, but come on. Anyways, 3 Germans, Kurt. Matt Morgan hits a big boot that took Kurt's head off, and we've just got to say, Matt Morgan has a terrific big boot.
it's outstanding.
It's elite. I would.
There's a
I would
better
say
one
it is
too.
elite.
This one's really good. There's a better one in a later match that he hits out of a corner.
Oh, and he's got
was
a great pump kick.
Yes, he's got like a
We're
bro
not covering
kick.
it yet, but he's got a great pump kick.
Yeah,
like
and that's I think the athleticism. That like weirdly like that's the basketball. Like you can kind of like he's got like a little bit of hops. Like he's got the ability to get up.
Ankle slam for a near fall.
Yeah.
Kurt pulls the straps down, and I know this is when you started getting into the match.
That's when I lock in. I see Kurt Angle's nipples and I lock in. All right. So ankle lock gets locked in. Morgan escapes pretty quickly. Ankle rolls through a powerbomb attempt into another ankle lock. Morgan kicks him off eventually. Morgan dodges. Ankle goes into the ring post. Then he hits the elevator, which is a suplex where he like drops the guy forward in like a rock bottom kind of way.
It's like the finisher that the Mighty Don't Kneel had. Like
yes, but
Shane
it's one
Thorne
person
and the other
instead
guy.
of two. Yeah,
it's one guy instead of two. Like they
Mikey.
Some fucking no.
Yeah, we'll call him Mikey now. I'm pretty sure that's it.
We only cared about Shane Thorne.
There was a Angle refuses to get kicked off because he's getting another ankle lock in. Morgan eventually gets a discus lariat, which again, also pretty good.
Yes.
Morgan sucks chants from the crowd, which is unfortunate.
It's because he's getting pushed to the moon, and he's just not. Look, man, as someone who watched TNA,
yeah,
I wasn't as locked in at this stage of it. I would say I treated TNA a lot like I treat like NXT nowadays, where like I don't really
happy to tune in every once in a while. See what's going on.
So I was tuned in every once in a while, see what's going on. I mean, it's easier to follow wrestling nowadays because Twitter, but like back then, I was just like every once in a while I'd tune in, see what was up. Like Matt Morgan just wasn't that guy. He wasn't even positioned to be that guy. And seeing this was kind of weird. Anyways, Kurt won't slip off after another. Morgan tries to put a tombstone on. Kurt slips out of it, puts an ankle lock on. He just like Morgan tries kicking him off. He won't get out of it until eventually, he's able to boot Kurt off. Hits another discus discus lariat for a near fall. Kurt, he goes up to the top.
Yeah, Morgan goes up top. Kurt's playing possum, so he gets up there, does the belly to belly overhead off the top rope. Angle slam connects, a frog splash connects, and Morgan still kicks out. And that's when I'm like, okay, TNA has a lot of faith in Matt Morgan. You kicked out of a angle slam, overhead belly to belly off the top rope, plus a frog splash combo. That's a lot. And then Angle actually wins with a victory roll.
Yeah, Matt Morgan. Kurt goes to the top. It looks like he's going for a moonsault. Probably he's lining up for one. Matt Morgan grabs him, puts him in an electric chair position. Kurt rolls forward, like you mentioned, victory roll. 1, 2, 3. Kurt Angle wins the match.
And then they shake hands after because Angle's trying to get over how good Matt Morgan is. And honestly, a ringing endorsement. There is like the crowd does cheer. So good way, easy way. It's what they thought Rock was doing to Roman at that one Royal Rumble. All right.
I would say this is the least over that Matt Morgan was throughout these matches.
Because then he gets significantly over. We are going to take a break. And then when we get back, we're looking at some more over Matt Morgan. Back from the break on the January 4th, 2010 live 3-hour Monday night episode of Impact, Matt Morgan would win the tag team championships with Hernandez.
I don't want to talk about it. The less Hernandez that I have to speak about on this podcast, the better.
They would hold on to titles for a while, and then they would lose them after because Hernandez got turned on by Morgan. Morgan hit him with something called the carbon footprint and left both title belts, turning heel in the process.
As
Then
he
Morgan
should.
would join Fortune, Ric Flair's stable. He joined it with like AJ Styles and Kazarian and Robert Roode.
Oh yeah, he was in that group.
Yeah. He would be kicked out of Fortune because he faced Jeff Hardy for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, turning into a face. Let's talk about that match. TNA World Heavyweight Championship, no disqualification match against Jeff Hardy, with Mr. Anderson as the special guest referee. Final resolution 2010. This whole pay-per-view is free on TNA's YouTube channel.
Well, what else you could do with it?
I'm so glad we have this match because we get to talk about one thing, and that's the terrible title that Jeff Hardy has.
It's the worst. It's the worst title in the history of pro wrestling.
It's the worst title that I have ever seen in the history of wrestling.
I feel like we did a worst title draft for some reason. We didn't. We did a best title draft.
We did a best title draft, but I think
this This is the worst. It's this and the Divas title are so bad, so unbelievably awful.
And we don't just hate purple belts. Like, that's not this. We don't just hate purple belts.
This is just, it's freaking Jeff Hardy's Willow character. Basically, the face of it is the title belt, except it keeps going after Jeff Hardy. Like Mr. Anderson ends up holding this title belt and shit like that. Like, it's bad,
it's so
man.
Bad. It's a bad time. What did you think of this match?
Honestly, it didn't do it for me. Heel Jeff Hardy
is the worst.
It just doesn't do it. His work rate, he's not meant to work slow. He's just not. And that's what he's doing here. And it's, I don't know, man. It's okay. So the match starts. Those brutal back elbows in the corner, the rapid fire ones. Apron leg drop by Morgan. He's on top for a lot of the beginning stage of this match.
Before we dive into the actual bit by bit, I have a question for you. Matt Morgan has a back tattoo at this point.
I didn't see that, or I didn't notice it at least.
So at first I couldn't make out what it was. It looked, when you just saw it in brief glances, it looked like Sting's face paint. Like he had Sting's face on his back, and I was like, that's pretty weird. That's a weird decision to make. But then I looked into it, and I found out that the most of it, so it's a monster's face. And it was actually done at Shannon Moore's tattoo shop, Gas Chamber Inc. in
monster's face?
Yeah, it's like a generic monster, like a kind of like a dragon type face. Like it's like a scary monster face. Okay. And he said, if you watch me wrestle, that's the face I have. This is a Matt Morgan quote. If you watch me wrestle, that's the face I have. The intensity in the eyes, the way my eyebrows go, the way my nose crinkles, and in a lot of still shots, you'll see me making that face. It's a representation of me in the ring. And here's the thing. He's 7 feet tall, so he's allowed to say that. He's terrifying. He's allowed to say these things. I can't say it. I can't get a tattoo of my face on my back, Steve-O style.
All right, but that's just a different thing.
That's true.
It's not listen, I feel like a man of your height could do it for themselves. Like, I don't know, Max Holloway. I don't know exactly how tall Max Holloway is, but he's a featherweight, He's got to be roughly around your height. If he did it, cool.
If Google gives me heights in meters one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. I hate being Canadian for that reason and that reason alone. The rest of it's awesome. Max Holloway is 5'11". So Max Holloway
Christ, why is he taller than that? Anyways, you know what I mean? Like a freaking Demetrius Johnson, whatever, freaking Mighty Mouse.
Joe Pesci.
He could do it because he's scary. You, on the other hand, I just look at you and I'm like, that's the nicest man I've ever seen in my life.
I have strong Mr. Rogers energy, and I appreciate that.
It's true. It is true.
So going through this match bit by bit, it's not the best. So we're not going to go through tons of it. But I do want to talk about...
Good work for Matt Morgan here, though.
The fact that Matt Morgan is doing really good work. He sells really well when he needs to sell. And this is where he debuts his, brogue kick style move. And it's really good.
It's good shit, man. Side slam, discus lariat. I like his discus lariat. He connects with it very well. Yeah.
What makes a good discus lariat? Is it the spin speed? Is it the...
No, I think... So the spin obviously is important. It is, but I think it's more so when you connect, are you going forward as well? Like
Yeah, you
how
can't
much
just
commitment?
spin
Yeah,
and
like
then
it's
do
like
the lariat.
Natalia. Natalia doesn't like go forward with it. She's just kind of like, oh, I hit you. Here we go.
It's one of the reasons that the late Brody Lee's was so good is the spin was weirdly like slow.
Oh, no. No. Now Brody's a different cat.
Yeah,
Because
but I think one of
Brody
the
was
things that
fucking dudes up.
I think one of the things that made his good is at all times whenever he was connecting, it was on the end of the spin. And so you can see, like, it looks like there's momentum going into it. Some people do like a spin and then a clothesline. I'm like, that's not a
Yeah.
discus lariat.
Brody
And
was
Matt
almost
Morgan
like
does
kind
it.
of winding it, and then he just like lets it go. And when he lets it go, he like puts himself. It's like when they're telling, like, it's kind of how people tell you to like, I don't know, like deadlift or some shit like that. Like it's like, oh, you position your back and then you pull and then you pop the hips or whatever the fuck. This motherfucker's doing the wind up and then he's popping.
To quote Elle Woods, it's the bend and snap. But no, Matt Morgan is a really good discus lariat. Like that, I found myself as I was watching these matches, like adding moves to the list. I'm like, Matt Morgan does that really well. Oh, Matt Morgan does that really well. Like working punches, even pretty good.
Yeah. And
we see a lot of punches doing this podcast.
Then comes the knee injury.
Yes, he tweaks his knee. How does he tweak his knee?
I don't even remember. He hits the pump kick, and then I see him favoring the knee. I'm like, how the fuck did he hurt his knee doing a pump kick?
It's just the way his foot lands that he just tweaks his knee, and that's what they're selling. Because then Jeff starts attacking the knee, and we get this weird spot where Jeff hits a swanton bomb, but Matt Morgan gets his knee up, but that still hurts him because he's selling the knee really well.
He's also eaten 2 twists of fates by this point.
Yeah. Twist of hate. It's called a twist of hate at this point.
I refuse. No, I refuse.
Jeff goes to leave the match. Arn Anderson. No, Mr. Anderson is counting. He stops, tells Jeff to get back in the ring, gets in Anderson's face. Hardy shoves him. Anderson just hits him with a bunch of rights. And honestly, more referees should do this.
Yeah, Hardy was pie facing him. And I'm telling you right now, like, you can push me. I'll be like, whatever. You know, if someone pushes me, I'm not going to like be like, oh, I'm going to Draymond Green this guy now. Like, I'm not going to do that. You pie face me though. That's just,
that's
like
different. That's very
different.
Can't
let a pie face slide.
And you know, Mr. Anderson, a good man, because sends him back to the ring. Morgan with a roll up, and he doesn't quick count. He doesn't just go 1, 2, 3. Instead, Jeff kicks out, another twist of hate, and then Anderson does the slowest count of all time.
It's funny though.
He like drops down like Boromir's death scene in Lord of the Rings. Like bit by bit, he drops down. It's pretty good. It's a good bit.
It's a great overacting by Sean Bean. Let me tell you something.
Is it Sean Bean or is it Sean Bon or is it Scene Bean? It can't be.
Fuck, I'm calling him Sean Bean.
It can't be. It's spelled the same. You can't have it be Sean and Bean. It's got to be either Scene Bean or Sean Bon.
All right, Evan Gomez.
This is when you hate doing a podcast with me right here.
Evan Gomez. That's what I'm calling you.
Jeff with a chair shot. Morgan sends Hardy into Anderson. Hardy goes for a twist of hate. Hardy gets pinned, but Anderson is down, so there's no one to count. Eric Bischoff is here. He sends a ref down there, launches Mr. Anderson into ring post. Eric Bischoff killed a man, and it was Mr. Anderson. Hardy still managed to kick out a 2.
Such an unnecessary toss, too.
Morgan wants a chokeslam. Hardy with a twist of fate instead pins him for the win. Only thing I took away from this is that TNA had to bleep out someone in the crowd who audibly says "fuck you, Bischoff," proving that in 2009, 2010, Eric Bischoff was still hated.
Well, everyone just hated him because of what he was doing to TNA. Hogan. Him and Hogan.
What a combo! Speaking of combos, let's talk about this promo. Let's talk about this promo combo. This week's promo is Matt Morgan facing off against the big booty daddy Scott Steiner. I was looking at Matt Morgan promo, and the very first one that shows up is Matt Morgan faces off with Scott Steiner, and I did not look further.
Yeah, because why would you?
Why would you?
No, I mean, I can't think of anything that I'm more excited about than the eventual Scott Steiner episode.
Oh, it's going to be a glorious time.
Like, it might have 4 promos in it.
I mean, it has Steiner math for sure. It's going to have like the arm wrestling contest against Triple H.
All right, maybe I don't I don't know about that one, Chief.
We have a good time. Matt Morgan starts the clip, and he's starting his promo, and he's about to start talking, and then someone in the crowd says, "I love you," and he just quickly goes like, "I love you too, sweetie," and goes back, and I was like, "God damn, you're a politician. You're so good at this." That was so quick.
He said he put the exclamation point at the end of the Hernandez sentence, and I was like, bit corny, but I like it.
Corny, but honestly, the delivery was really good.
But I
That's
like
the
it.
public speaking degree coming in.
He said he's going to get back. He's getting back on track to get the TNA championship. It says everyone is just handing out, since everyone's handing out title shots from Sting, Hogan, Bischoff, whatever the fuck. He gives a sound piece of advice to everyone and says that he needs to be at the top of that list.
Yeah. This is what I wrote. Like, Morgan is super over here. Like, people are behind him here.
Yeah, I mean, he was. I'm telling you, man, he was in that phase just beneath the main event, but just above the mid card, somewhere in that region. Is where Matt Morgan was.
He says the waiting game is stale. He's bored. Matt Morgan's time is now. Kind of like the generic, like when you had the 2K career mode, like the things you could choose to say if you were doing a babyface promo, which is all fine. He says, if I don't get it, I'm going to take it. Goes to put the mic down, and then a fucking siren goes off, and Scott Steiner's here.
Scott Steiner says,
its opening line kills me. Every day, he wakes up in a good mood, and then something happens.
It never fails.
And I've never related to Scott Steiner more. Every day, I wake up in a great mood, and then something happens.
Something happens. It never fails. It pisses me off. It's just the delivery, because he's got a high-pitched voice. He's so intense when he speaks. Every day I wake up in a good mood, and then something happens. It never fails, and it pisses me off.
Morgan, he says, Morgan, you claim to be the DNA of TNA. If I had your DNA or your genetics, I'd shoot myself.
And he says, sorry, let me correct myself. I kill myself, and then I hang myself.
The fact that Matt Morgan gets through this promo without just dying of laughter proves he is a pro. Because Scott Steiner is an unhinged human being.
He says he said Matt Morgan can flex all he wants. He'll never have arms like this. You can't even see my arms because of the background. He'll never have abs like this or whatever the fuck. He says he'll never be like Scott Steiner. He says that he came out, he deserves a world he deserves a world title. He calls Matt Morgan a disrespectful piece of shit.
Like, Scott Steiner had no plan for this promo. He just comes out and is just riffing.
He says the line starts behind him because he's been a world champion, and then he's beating guys bigger and taller than Matt Morgan. And I'm like, he's 7 feet tall.
I'm Big Papa Pump, the genetic freak. I'm way up here. Morgan is way down there. You're beneath me, just like your girlfriend was last night.
That's a mic drop moment. I'm done after that. Like, there's not Morgan. I'm letting this guy talk.
Morgan with a great babyface response of I respect you, Scott Steiner. Like, you're an all-American collegiate athlete. You made it to wrestling. I'm a two-sport athlete trying to follow your same kind of route, like the things you were doing. Talks about Steiner bringing sports and athletics to the art of pro wrestling. How he loves the art form of pro wrestling. But then says, don't ever confuse my respect as a sign of weakness. There ain't a damn thing on this 7 foot, 300-pound frame that's weak. And so Morgan's like, let's have a match. Like, let's figure it out. Like gentlemen, like scholars, athlete to athlete. Respect. Yeah. Steiner low blows him. Scott Steiner's just the bee's knees.
Flatliner, Steiner recliner, sirens. I love this man. I'm sorry. I don't care if Scott Steiner, after he blew up muscle-wise, just became one of the worst workers in wrestling. This is like an enigma. Scott Steiner is an enigma.
Scott Steiner is, if you had zero impulse control and you got a live mic, like any person, if you were like, hey, go out and just say the weirdest shit you can think of.
He is what I would imagine Speed, the streamer. He's what I would imagine he would be as a wrestler.
I thought you meant if the street drug Speed came alive.
Yeah, if cocaine mixed with I don't even know what that fuck Speed.
Chainmail came to life.
That'd be Scott Steiner. No, but
Scott
I
Steiner
showed
is an
he
Xbox Live
became
lobby that has given sentience. And then Matt Morgan's trying to cut like an earnest babyface promo, and he's doing a good job.
he's like the dad in the Modern Warfare 2 lobby, and then all these people are just calling him the N-word. He's like, I'm white.
And he's just like, I'm just trying to relax after work. I'm an accountant. All right. We're not done with Scott Steiner. He will show up later, but we're going to take a break. When we get back, we have Matt Morgan as the TNA World Tag Team Champion. Back from the break, Morgan at one point was in a feud with Samoa Joe, and they had a couple matches. And actually, there was a triple threat where they had Morgan and Samoa Joe and Crimson. Do you remember Crimson?
I don't. Like, I saw this and I was like, who the fuck is that guy?
So I will say that I had never heard of Crimson in the nicest way possible. I had never heard of Crimson.
Like, I'm sorry. I tried looking into the deep recesses of my mind to try to find this man. No shot.
His name is Anthony Mayweather. He legitimately had a 470-day undefeated streak in TNA. 470 days, 470 undefeated singles streak in TNA.
I have no words for
that.
At
At Turning Point, Morgan wrestled Crimson. They wrestled through a double disqualification, and in the following edition of Impact, they teamed up to defeat Mexican America to win the tag titles. We are now looking. It says Mexican America.
What? We're just gonna gloss over that one.
That's what Wikipedia says. I didn't write this.
Who was it? Click the T. Who is that?
They don't have a clickable thing. That's why I'm concerned.
Oh no.
That's why I'm a little concerned.
So Alberto Del Dipshit and Zeb Coulter. All right, cool.
Oh God, I forgot about the Mex America Alliance. What a terrible time that was. Hold on, Mexican America was Anarquia and Hernandez.
Yeah, I'm all set with this. I'm all set with everything that just happened there.
Yeah, me too. So we are looking at Magnus and Samoa Joe challenging Crimson and Matt Morgan for the tag titles at Genesis 2012. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, why are Magnus and Samoa Joe teaming together?
Yeah, because Magnus was in a tag team. Like, that's the reason his name was Magnus is because he was in a tag team with the other guy whose name was like similarly like weird, like a fucking mythologic name. So the reason Nordic is name, whatever the fuck.
They were in the wild card tournament. So there was a tournament of like they drew random teams so that's how we got there. So Magnus and Joe beat AJ Styles and Kazarian in the finals. There were other teams like Abyss and Scott Steiner and Eric Young and ODB.
I'm sorry.
Christopher Daniels and Rob Van Dam.
Ooh, I like that one actually.
Hernandez and Rob Terry is a weird time.
I'm all set with the Rob Terry. That's your boy.
That is my boy. I love Rob Terry. Shout out to Rob Terry. What do you think of this match? What do you think of the tag vibes?
I actually kind of liked it.
I think Matt Morgan and Crimson were a pretty good tag team.
No, here's the thing. Like, I actually thought Samoa Joe and Magnus were a really, really good tag team.
They have surprisingly good tag offense together for a team that doesn't exist.
It's not surprising. Like, for those who don't know, Magnus is Nick Aldis.
Nick Aldis, yeah.
He's a terrific wrestler. Samoa Joe is an incredible wrestler.
Samoa Joe.
Yeah, like, he's fucking awesome. It doesn't shock me that they were both, you combine the two. Like, it would just make sense. It doesn't always work out in wrestling this way, but it just kind of makes sense. You take two really, really good workers, you put them together, and they're a really, really good tag team.
That makes sense. That tracks to me.
Doesn't always work out that way, but sometimes it does. And
sometimes it do. What was your favorite part of this match?
I liked pretty early on Samoa Joe pie faces Morgan and then fails to like get him down with shoulder blocks, and I was like, oh, they're making Matt Morgan look big and strong.
Some good strong man offense there.
Morgan does his corner elbows I think to Joe, and Joe hits him with a corner, but Joe gets him back. He does his corner moves, and then I think Crimson gets in the ring, and that's when Joe hits his corner Uranagi, which I appreciated.
I do appreciate that too.
Nice.
My favorite part of this match My favorite part of this match is when randomly we cut to a thing backstage of Bully Ray beating the crap out of
I knew you were going to
Abyss
say that. I knew
with
you were
no
gonna say it.
context.
They had a Monsters Ball match right before this, didn't they?
And they were just continuing to fight. I actually kind of love that.
I think Abyss won the match.
And so
If I remember what
Bully Ray was like,
they
I
were
need my win
saying.
back, brother.
I think Mike Tenay mentioned that
All
one.
love BD.
BR, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, it's Bully Ray. I was always thinking Dudley, but yeah. BR.
Joe does boot smears in the corner to Crimson. When he follows up to hit that like running brute, like the overdriver or whatever the fuck the thing would be. Crimson hits a spear, solid looking spear,
pretty good
edge
spear
though. It is
very
an
much
edge
an edge
spear.
Yes. We get a hot tag to Matt Morgan. Series of clotheslines, catches Magnus, does a fallaway slam. He's gotten better at it. It's really good here. Elbows and clotheslines for Samoa Joe. We get the Hellevator, but Joe stops the pinfall. I actually kind of dig the Hellevator as a finish.
It only works if you're like super tall though.
Absolutely, because then you have the height and it's an actual impact.
Like I don't know, like fucking even someone that's like 6'4", like you give that to like Trick Williams, it still doesn't work for me. Like no. I need it to be a tall man.
Also, Trick Williams can get everything over. Don't you worry.
I'm gonna whoop that trick. Anyways, like it's got to be like a really tall individual. Like who's someone on the main roster in either
Braun Strowman.
Major promotion?
Braun Strowman could do this.
I don't like the press slam, and I wish he would stop using it.
I do too.
But it's not that I don't like the move. I think I like it as a move. My issue is him doing it. He's just too big and wide.
The problem isn't the move. The problem is you. All right. Morgan's holding off both challengers. Joe with a corner splash and his little Pele kick, overhead kick that he does. Flying elbow by Magnus for a 2 when Crimson makes the save. Crimson runs Joe into the steel steps. Magnus avoids a close chokeslam attempt, but runs into what I would describe as a double spine buster.
I just said double choke slam. I didn't even know what they were doing.
I thought they grabbed him by the chest. Anyways, Crimson.
Yeah, I mean, they probably could have. I wasn't paying too much attention to it.
Crimson and Morgan retain the titles. Their tag team would end when Magnus and Samoa Joe had a match against them at Victory Road, and Crimson turned on Morgan, costing the team and turning heel in the process. And then they had a couple matches where Crimson would keep his undefeated streak alive, including a steel cage match at Lockdown. Now,
of course,
for our final match, we go somewhere we've never been before. India. Very exciting. In 2011, TNA announced a project in India, which we have mentioned on the podcast before.
Yeah.
We've talked about ring cucking before. And it's an original wrestling program intended for the Indian market. Promotion was managed by Jarrett with some assistance from Sanjay Dutt and Jeremy Borash and Dave Lagana. Now, the ring cucking heavyweight tournament finals, like the championship finals, were February 5th, 2012 was when it aired, and it's Scott Steiner versus Matt Morgan for the title. Outstanding.
Rinka King was so wild. They treated it so seriously. Like they had scales before the match. There were scales. They did like a whole like press thing. It was freaking hilarious. The craziest part about it is Sanjay Dutt is a heel.
That is pretty crazy.
Like I would expect him to be a babyface.
I want to tell you the two people who were responsible for training the Indian talent in OVW. Ready? We've covered one of them on the podcast before. Next one, other one we haven't.
TNA's at this point.
Yeah. The two people responsible for training the Indian talent were Nick Dinsmore, a.k.a. Eugene, who is a fucking technical wizard. Like,
yeah, he's like actually like a great wrestler.
He's a legit great wrestler. And another great wrestler, Savio Vega, was also that's how we've heard of ring cucking before. Was he was helping to do the training.
I love Rinka King, man. Rinka King's great. I think the Bollywood brothers were in Rinka King.
They were. They show up in this match. You can see them.
Do they? Oh,
yeah,
shit.
You can see them at ringside. You knew them as the guys who got destroyed by Randy Orton for like 4 straight months.
Oh, I mean, I just knew them as the Bollywood brothers.
I'm talking to the general audience. That's how they probably knew them best. Was Sunil and Samir, and they got just thrown through tables constantly.
Even though I love how they got like full on like, oh, these guys are Indian, all this other stuff. They're from Canada.
They are from Canada. It's the Jinder Mahal thing again.
Is Jinder Canadian? Where's Jinder from?
I'm pretty sure Jinder's from Calgary. The Bollywood Boys
Um.
also were named Gurv and Harv Sira, and they just were like, no, we need other names because WWE.
Anyways,
Talk about the pre-match stuff because I'm gonna look up
yeah. So
where Jinder
Steiner is
Mahal's from.
flanked by Sanjay Dutt and Magnus. Early on in the match, Sanjay grabs Matt Morgan's foot as he's hitting the ropes, and some dude gets on the apron yelling at him, and then calls other wrestlers down. And that's probably where you saw the Bollywood brothers. But
Yeah,
you also saw other people. There was just mad people now around the ring, and yet it didn't matter because Magnus and and Sanjay were still interfering for whatever reason. Anyways, so Magnus
Jinder
Magnus. Wow,
Mahal is from Calgary.
nice. Morgan
Yeah.
does his corner elbows, the explosive. La, la, la. Magnus, he hits a discus lariat for a near fall. Magnus distracts the ref. Scott Steiner low blows Matt Morgan the second time in this episode that he's hit a low blow on Matt Morgan.
It's the most exaggerated looking low blow I think I've ever seen. Like
No,
his hand,
Shinsuke Nakamura is at WrestleMania.
that is fair. I
It's
stand
number
corrected.
one,
This
and I
one's
will
pretty good.
always believe that.
I have a complete aside that has nothing to do with anything. The green referee shirts are clean as hell. I like them a lot.
It's Celtics green, isn't it?
It is very much Celtics green. Rudy Charles in the Celtics green, calling it down the middle. Honestly, I like the look. I think it's good. I think the generic white and black stripes, the white and black stripes are overplayed. All right, we're done.
I always liked it during the brand split era when it was like SmackDown had the blue refs and Raw had like the normal ones.
Yeah, I like that. I make it a little unique, a little different.
Just a little bit. Just give it. Honestly, just give it a tiny little switch. You know.
So Steiner's in control now. Dutt gets involved again. He's like pulling on Morgan's neck, like choking him while he's on the rope. Steiner drives his knee into Morgan's back, stomping him. He's in control with chops in the corner. Morgan with some pretty good selling, and then he gets whipped into the corner. Steiner runs in, and I swear to God, Scott Steiner has his head taken off by a big boot.
And mind you, he didn't actually like go forward, like hitting a big boot. He literally just got his boot up, but it looked fucking great.
But Scott Steiner was running the fastest I've ever seen Scott Steiner run, and then proceeds to just collapse. Yeah. It's outstanding. It's
great.
It's great. And then we get to the finish. Like, we go right to the finish from there.
Yeah, running clothesline, slide slam for a near fall. Steiner catches discus lariat with a flatliner for a near fall. Steiner recliner on. Morgan almost like immediately gets to the ropes because he was right near them, and he's tall. Morgan blocks a belly to belly, hits a massive big boot. 1, 2, 3. Matt Morgan is finally a world champion, Evan.
He is the first ever Ring Ka King champion. There would be 3 Ring Ka King world heavyweight champions. Try to name the other 2.
I'm just not going to be able to.
Second was Sir Brutus Magnus, a.k.a. Nick Aldis, won it off of Matt Morgan. And then Mahabali Veera, also known as Shira in NXT/WWE. Yeah. I honestly like the Indian market needs to get some more wrestling representation because honestly, the Indian market is huge.
I mean, they've still got into share.
They still got into share. They but like I'm talking like continued events. Like they do the tours there, which is really great. But like, there's probably a home for like a promotion like from the West to go there and do some like serious work. Like this is honestly a really great business idea they had. It just didn't work out.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you could say that about so many different markets, though. Like, you know,
this is why I still think the idea of all the different NXTs would have been really, really good. I stand by that being a good idea.
And it got shut down pretty quickly.
Like NXT Japan would have been good.
Yes, it would have been great. But the issue then becomes like, how much of a focus is really going to be put on it? Like NXT UK was really good and really fun, but it was also buried on the network and Peacock.
It was pretty big.
You know, and stuff like that. And it's just a matter of attention to it. And also, what's the end game? Like, are these people from NXT Japan? Where do they pretty much graduate to go to NXT? Do they go to the main roster?
What's like the tier level?
Is beyond this, you know, like is it really a developmental system? Developmental into what? Like, let's say they go into India or go into Japan or go into China or go into Brazil, these kind of bigger countries that are pretty untapped aside from Japan. And like decide to do something with like a developmental system there. What about the fact, like, okay, do they graduate to what? Like, they don't speak English there. Like, Vince McMahon was never going to push them.
That's true. It's a hopeful thing for the new era without Vince, and people think that like now there's a rumor that WWE is going after Okada again.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is, you're older, it's less taxing. Shinsuke's here.
Yeah, and that's why people think like that's part of the reason they're pushing Shinsuke the way they are recently, because it's like, look, we are not going to treat you like a caricature. Like, we're going to let you do like promos in your own
It's just
language.
not going to work.
Like that.
It's not going to work if he's going to come to America, which he's not, because he just had a kid last year, and his wife's a very famous, I think, actress. She's either an actress or a voice actress in Japan.
Cool.
And like, she's not fucking moving to America. Like,
so back to Matt Morgan. He would get his release from the company that he asked for in 2013. He did the independent circuit for a while, have a couple of sporadic returns to TNA, and then in 2017, run for public office. Matt Morgan has been a mayor of Longwood, Florida, a couple of different times.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he
multiple
has been
times.
Yeah, so he served as mayor of Longwood from May 7th, 2019 until September 2020, and then again he served for mayor in May of 2022 until the end of May of 2023. But he's a city commissioner. Like, he's super involved in politics, which again, good looking guy, seems to be a really well spoken guy too. Like, it doesn't surprise me that he would get into
also a mayor.
politics.
It's like,
yeah, he's the mayor.
Longwood, Florida. I doubt it's that big.
That's a great question. Give me, how many people do you think are in Longwood, Florida?
It's tough to judge. Like,
I'm going to set the over under. You said 50?
Yeah.
It's 15,000 people.
All right, come on. Like, what are we doing here?
Hey, I haven't been mayor of anything before.
Yeah, but you also haven't run.
This is true.
Just saying.
Vote for me.
If you want to be mayor of small town Canada,
I want to be the mayor of Flavortown. I'm coming for you, Guy Fieri. All right.
You can't do any worse than that mayor of Toronto did.
Oh, yeah, because he smoked crack. All right. What did you think going back and looking at the career of Matt Morgan?
Solid.
Really good.
Better than I remember him being.
Absolutely.
I will say. Like, listen, I'm not exactly going back and watching Matt Morgan matches. Like, I haven't since this all aired. Because there's just so many other things I could have done better with my time. And look, I'll be honest, like, I'm not going to go back and watch more Matt Morgan matches, but for the purposes of this podcast and having to watch them for this, like, I had a good time. Guy's a solid wrestler.
It's my favorite type of podcast episode we do, where I go in with like a weird preconceived notion of like, I kind of remember what this guy was like, or this person was like, I don't know for sure though. And I come out going, damn, they were a lot more talented than I knew when I was watching this for the first time.
It's like obviously the Albert episode or A-Train from a while back.
Yeah.
Matt Bloom. Like, hell of a fucking wrestler.
Yeah. And so like Matt Morgan's in a similar realm where I was like, I only knew him as like, he was briefly on WWE television. He had the stuttering gimmick, and then he went to TNA, and I had no idea what life was like for him in TNA. You knew him in TNA as like, yeah, he's kind of there, like he's never the top guy. He's not like a main event guy, but he's right below. And you watch these, like, good worker, had a good look, good promo. Like, he had a little bit you can understand the push.
Yeah.
Fairfield,
Connecticut, baby.
Represent Fairfield, Connecticut. Next week, we have a recommendation from one of our viewers on YouTube. Our boy Crispy Crisp has been talking to us on YouTube, leaving comments. And you can also suggest people we can cover. Next week on the podcast, we are covering Ayako Hamada, a Mexican female wrestler who has done some work in CMLL, some work in, she's been TNA, Shimmer, AAA. So we're going to cover that. I'm very excited. This is a wrestler I know nada about.
I know nothing. Nothing.
And it's very rare for both of us to have no preconceived notion about a wrestler before we dive in. Crispy Crisp, thank you so much for the recommendation. That's who we're diving into next week. You, dear listener, should rate 5 stars and help us out as we continue to grow. Share this podcast with a friend. If you know someone who loved Matt Morgan, you should be like, hey. If you know Matt Morgan, you should be like, hey, these guys, they
I was
told
gonna
you.
say, I don't know who loves Matt Morgan aside from his family.
I mean, maybe you know someone who's from Longwood, Florida, and you're like, hey, these guys reviewed The Mayor. Wouldn't that be cool? You can follow us on social media at Crossbody of Work, on Twitter, on Instagram. You can follow Javier wherever he tells you right now.
I'm on the Twitter machine at JMello Sports. I know I said I promised last week that I would make a sign, but I didn't.
So, promises are meant to be broken.
Promises are meant to be broken.
You can follow me on Twitter at @7gomes, ITSEVANGOMES. FullPressShop.com. Cop the merch. Support the boys on the road to WrestleMania. New merch hopefully coming soon to a theater near you. Very cool. FullPressWrestling.com for the links to all the matches this week. What is your recommendation this week?
Ooh, the tag match.
Okay, mine's the Angle match, but I'm entirely biased. Angle's my favorite wrestler of all time. So, obviously it's the Kurt match for me, but the tag match is actually really fun and quick.
Yeah.
It's like 9 minutes.
It's a good match.
Yeah. They get a lot in those 9 minutes.
Yes.
So,
also, you just can't go wrong with a tag team of Magnus / Nick Aldis and Samoa Joe.
Wherever you're listening, be sure to hit subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button as well. We got lots of bonus content on here. We just did another episode of Take a Card, Make a Card. A great, stressful time, as always.
Which, by the way, I need to mention my buddy Sean. Shout out Sean. Was watching the episode earlier, said that I smoked you. That's all I'm saying.
I will say, Sean is fully in your camp for all these different episodes. I need to get my friends to start watching.
No. Sean would absolutely want to root against me.
Those are the best kind of friends to have. That's like you for me. The other thing is, go watch Javier make the first ever error in Take a Card, Make a Card history. Yeah. This is a tainted win.
Tainted love.
All right. It is time for everyone's favorite part of the podcast. Javier, any final words for the people?
This week on Life Advice with Javier, we actually had a user suggested life advice.
Yeah, Crispy Crisp. Crispy Crisp is back.
My boy Crispy's pretty much asked us, and Evan, I guess you have to answer this as well because he asked both of us.
That's true.
He talked about how he's kind of changed and reflected over the last few years to be pretty much as a person and stuff like that. And Evan, we are old, so he asked us pretty much how we have changed and still continue to change as we get older. I guess I will go first.
Go first, young gun.
My back's starting to hurt a little bit, honestly. No, it's more so as you get older, you kind of look back on things from different perspectives. Maybe with a little more light. Something that's been cool for me, and also kind of a little shitty, honestly, as I grow older, is just looking back on my childhood and stuff and realizing, oh my god, oh shit was messy, or oh shit was and just kind of being shielded from it because you were a kid or stuff like that. And it's looking back when I was oh god, oh these happens, or my mom has pretty much all of the photos because my dad was really good about taking pictures and videos when we were kids. Of fucking everything. So when my mom has an entire massive bag full of just photographs and all this other stuff, and looking back on that, man, I had some really freaking great times as a kid. And I don't know, man, it's a lot of it is maturity stuff. If you would have told me that at 26 I'd be living with someone that I considered the love of my life and owning a cat, I would have been what the fuck? No, I'm not a cat person. And 26 I'm selling. I was what the hell? I can't. No, it's not happening. No way. But yet here I am, and I'm 26. Goddamn. And I own a cat, and I wouldn't trade her in for anything in this world. And I'm.
You're referring to both the cat and your girlfriend, right?
Yeah, you didn't let me finish. I'm happy to say that I am in love and that she is great. And
she is
stuff
great.
Like
this
that. And, I got a job. It's not the job that I thought I would have. If you had asked me 9 years ago, hell, if you had asked me 3 years ago, I wouldn't have told you that this is what I was going to do. But I do it, and it's a job that I can appreciate the growth that it has given me professionally and also in my personal life because I got a job and full benefits, man. I appreciate it,
and that helps. That shit helps.
That helps. It's good stuff. Growth has happened for me, and I think more so than anything is the fact that I'm reflecting on things. I never used to do
Yeah.
that, like, ever.
No, when you're young, it's all like go, 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 forward, forward, forward.
Yeah.
I think one of the best things about getting older, and people like they turn away from this sometimes. Like, you should look back on your old self and be like, wow, I can't believe I used to do that. Or used to say those things, or used to think those things. You should grow. You should get better. And the
Yes.
only thing you can do is get a little bit better every day. And sometimes people get like, they cringe and they're like, I can't believe I used to wear that, or I used to say that, I used to hang out with those people.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine. That's okay. Your old self is supposed to make you cringe a little bit. And that means you've gotten better. That means you've improved on
Yes.
something that you wanted to improve on. And that's good. And like, I think about that all the time. Like, I'm like, I am in a better spot now than I was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I know more. And part of knowing more is knowing that I know a little bit, but pretty much nothing. And that's fine. And that's fine. It's good to know that you don't know as much as you thought you knew. Because like when everyone like, listen, if you're like 21 or under and you listen to this podcast, you think you know a lot. And honestly, that's great for you. Keep trudging forward, but also learn as much as you can. And you're gonna make mistakes, and they're gonna be fine. You're gonna make mistakes, and they're gonna be fine.
As the wise Taylor Allison Swift once said, how can someone know everything at 18 and nothing at 22?
As she also said, shake it off. You'll be fine. And, I think about stuff like I was once told by a coworker when I was turning 25, I was like, oh no, 25, like it's so old. And she was like, listen, something happens when you turn 30 where you know what your priorities are anymore. And it just makes everything so much easier in a way. And I was like, that's weird. And it hit me a little earlier than 30, but like only by like half a year. And I was like, oh, this is what she meant. And it's true. Like, I know what my priorities are. I know what I'm about. That's what's different. Because before, younger me was focused like in the last couple of years of like, oh, I gotta be like this, and this has to do this, and if I'm not like this, it's not worth it, or it's not successful. Success is very different now. Yes. Success is happy wife, happy life. Success is my friends. Yeah. Success is hanging out. Success is feeling, like I've fulfilled and I feel like I'm part of my community, right? Those are the important things.
Friends, family, and the people you choose.
This is great life advice
very
for Thanksgiving.
Quickly. That's not only what you should be thankful for, but what you should prioritize. Not in that order. Friends, family, and the people you choose. You can do it in whatever order you want.
Yeah.
It's the things that matter, man.
You know what?
At the end of the day,
those like
it's just the things that matter.
Those like white mom signs that are in kitchens are kind of right, where it's like bless this home and like food's fresh. Like they kind of are right.
Live, laugh, love, baby.
Like, let's go. All right. On the live, laugh, love note, we are going to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. We're back next week to talk about Ayako Hamada. We will talk to you then.